I just have found that we're like in the golden era of making money for building stuff, and it's more accessible and easier to do than ever.
My recommendation to people is like build some apps with like Webflow MemberStack make.
100%.
Even if you're not going to use it, that will teach you how things function, and your brain changes to understand these like logic.
I feel like a lot of no-code companies are not adjusting well enough to how the market has evolved. There are a few companies that are doing it okay. I'll be honest, I'm not going to put Webflow up there as one of them. I don't mean to be a hater. Webflow is obviously an incredible tool. I just don't feel that as much anymore. Other people are catching up with the tools that they're creating. Yeah.
Webflow is in a position where they could actually do the greatest thing ever.
Do you feel like, as exciting as all of it is, in like a year or two, this is all going to be relevant?
This, what I'm showing you right now, also these animations, all of these were done just with Claude Code.
Opus, as good as it is not creating this. There's something else going on here.
I didn't make it.
Where's it getting all of the images and screenshots from?
I don't know. I don't know.
What?
I mean,
so you're telling me it's just pulled in like the Stripe logo?
Yes. It pulled this in. I promise you, I did not tinker with this.
Okay, I am shocked. This is not quite what I expected.
If you were to say to me, you could just, red pill, blue pill matrix, go to an alternate reality where AI never happened, I would take that alternate reality.
It kind of makes me think about people who are not in this space as well a bit. Do people even understand what's going on?
The future for anyone getting into any career in tech is going to look so different.
But do you know who I do actually think could become the AI design?
Oh! How is it going with you?
I'm doing good, man. I've been loving your videos. You've been doing it's really good, really entertaining. And I'm learning a lot of good stuff. So yeah, no, so it's good.
Thank you. I have to ask before I even get into that, you're in Canada. I can obviously, I know you're from New Zealand. What brought you to Canada?
My wife. So, yeah. So I met my now wife in New Zealand, and it was just time to get out. So we actually, I've been here for like 5 years now. So settled in, love it. I love living in New Zealand, but it is very far away from everything else in the world. And you really notice it when you leave. So no, I've been really enjoying living here, but I'll get back at some point.
Oh yeah. No, it's Canada. I mean, the good thing about it is it's got everything. Like, you're on the Eastern time zone. Do you guys have Amazon in New Zealand?
No. No, we don't have Amazon in New Zealand. There are like tons of things that we don't have in New Zealand. And you don't really feel like you're missing it when you haven't had it, but then when you come here, like, everything is kind of like a novelty. I mean, I remember when I got here, there were like small random things that I appreciated a lot, like even going to Costco and buying 400 like toothpaste tubs. There's something about that we just don't have. Like, we don't have things like IKEA, all those kind of things, which I suppose in a way is good. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like New Zealand, there's a lot of things about New Zealand that's really good. We've got this real entrepreneurial kind of craft culture. So like, it's, for example, coffee is more like you've got like little coffee shops rather than like big things like Starbucks and stuff like that. So a lot more of that. It definitely feels like a bit more commercial over here compared to like New Zealand. But again, it's like two different worlds, a lot of similarities as well. But overall, I enjoy being here. I feel like the novelty of being here hasn't really worn off. So yeah. Good.
That is how it should be. It's crazy. I'm Canadian. It's funny. We're talking to a non-Canadian who's in Canada and a Canadian who's not in Canada. And if you ask me about the place that I come from in Canada, I'm not a fan of it. But instead of like going, Canada's a huge country. It's huge, man. It's massive. Instead of being like, why don't I travel Canada a bit? No, I just went straight to Europe. And I should have looked around in Canada a little bit more.
I get it. I get it. I mean, it's the same. It's the same when you live somewhere. It's like a completely different thing. Like, I mean, when I was in New Zealand, I mean, like, you don't explore the country the way that you would if you're like visiting it, because you feel like there's like only a finite amount of time to basically see what you want to see. Whereas when you're living there, that urgency isn't there. But I did the same thing in New Zealand. There are like tons of places that I haven't gone to that are like go-to tourist destinations. You know, like I've never been to like Hobbiton or like where they filmed The Lord of the Rings. It's like, I don't. Yeah, it's like it will still be there.
But like you don't know, you don't appreciate it when you, at least when you come from there. I feel like.
But where are you from?
Well, I'm from Barrie. You know where Barrie?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Have you been to Barrie?
No, I haven't.
You don't need to. There's no reason to go to Barrie.
And where are you living now?
I am in. So actually, when I was 17, I moved to Serbia. Super random. I'm not like. There's actually a fair bit of Canadians in Serbia, but they're all like Serbian background that, you know, went there to, I don't know, reconnect with their roots or whatever. I was just starting an agency. Co-founder who I met, who was Canadian, he was also Serbian. And so he's like, I wanted to go to Europe because I'd been to Europe. And so he's like, go see how you like it in Serbia. And somehow we ended up staying in Serbia for 7 years. We only left Serbia earlier this year, and I mean, my entire life is still there. Now, I'm in Italy, and
do you have like a Serbian family members, or was it just literally like, let's just go to Serbia?
Let's just go to Serbia. Actually, we were going to Hungary. Also, with no Hungarian family members, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And then I was recommended from my co-founder at the time to just go to Serbia to see how it is, and we loved it. Also, I mean, there's a lot of things to love about it, a lot of things to hate about it too, just like with everywhere. But at the time, it was so cheap that like if you were working online, that's the best thing, because it's hard to start your career as a freelancer, as an agency owner, as a builder, as a whatever, when you need like thousands and thousands of dollars a month to survive. But the time, dude, I think at the start probably made maybe about in US dollars like $700 a month. That paid rent in the city center, like pedestrian zone, like just walk out, there's no cars, like stores everywhere. Went out to eat at least once a day on $700 a month. Now it's not like that at all. At all. It's completely changed. But back then, that was like one of the best career decisions I've ever made, because it was so cheap to live there that I was able to actually focus on like, what did I want to do instead of how am I going to pay rent? Yeah.
Oh man, lifestyle costs are like just living costs in places are a crazy one. I mean, again, not wanting to dive too deep into my like life history, but I actually grew up in Germany out of all places.
What?
I know, it's super random. The short of it is I was born in New Zealand. My dad is a tennis coach, and he basically took over a tennis club in Germany. So I lived there until I was 18, and then when I was 18, I came back to New Zealand. Either way, story for another time. But
I gotta cut you off. You have no German accent when you speak English, and you have a complete New Zealand accent. You speak German fluently, I suppose.
I did all my schooling in Germany. I got my Abitur, for anyone that know, like, it's like the German high school thing. Interestingly enough, when I moved back to New Zealand, all the New Zealanders thought I was South African because I didn't sound New Zealandish enough.
I can see that.
Yeah. But the point being is, like, when I was in school there, we used to go to the Czech Republic a lot for, like, school trips. Love the place because the costs of things there are just like minimal, and you can really like have a good time there. And a lot of the countries are actually like beautiful. So like they're like absolutely awesome to be in. So yeah, no, I recommend. I'm with you. You know, like living in a place where like your cost of living are not crazy is like an amazing way to get started. I mean, I know a lot of people who have done that as well. For us in New Zealand, Australia, I think a lot of people move to Bali and stuff like that. That seems to be like the go-to destination for people who want to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. You grew up in Germany. That I was not expecting that at all. Ich nein sprechen Sie Deutsch at all. Hey. I was in America last time. This guy walked up to me, and I guess my shirt said something. He asked me if I was German in German, and I responded, no. In German. And then he started asking me where I'm from, again in German, and I'm responding in German. And then he leaves. My wife's like, "What? What was that?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "How do you speak German?" I'm like, "I don't speak German."
Yeah.
But I guess so, I can hold my weight.
You know what's funny is like when I because of all of my like the YouTube stuff that I've done, no one associates any type of German with me whatsoever. But when I jump on calls with people to like talk about work stuff or something, and they're Germans, it catches them. It's like a shock to the system because so not just do I speak German, I'm from South Germany, so I speak like an accent that is very like common for that area called Schwäbisch. No, so it's the one next to it. So there's there's Bayerisch, which is Bavaria, and then Schwäbisch, which is like a part of Baden-Württemberg. So when I start speaking with him, it's not just like, oh, he can speak German. It's like, oh, he speaks like a heck from the south.
I have a similar situation, whatever, because I spent so long in Serbia and I speak Serbian.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't know my background or anything like that, I just start speaking to them and I say something and it throws them off. So actually in Italy, I had someone who was a beggar come up to me and I knew immediately that they spoke like one of those languages. Freaked them out when I responded to them in their language. But anyways, dude, that is very interesting and I'm very glad I know that fact. Now what I want to ask you is like, what are you building with these days? What are you doing these days? Or are you even building these days?
Yeah, I mean, I am. To be honest, I'm still using a lot of the same tools that I used when I started, you know, so like the Webflow stack, Airtable, all those kind of things. Yeah. But I'm now like using AI way, way more in a lot of different aspects of it. And I'm actually tying it into the work that I am doing. So I've got my own things that I've still got going on, for example, like the Unicorn Factory and various other projects that I've kind of got running. Those projects, when I set them up, were really like a great starting point for me to kind of get familiar with the tools and kind of, you know, practice, you know, the building businesses. But like now, for most parts, what I do is I get it set up, I get it to a point where it's making enough money, and then I just hire someone to run it for me. And so that's mostly what I'm doing. What I'm spending most of my time doing right now is actually mostly client work. And it's kind of like a random one because I didn't think that after like having pretty much fully stopped doing client work after like the Unicorn Factory and all that kind of stuff that I'd go back to it. But I just have found that we're like in the golden era of making money for building stuff, and it's more accessible and easier to do than ever. Like a lot of the things that would take me like a long time to get set up in Webflow, Airtable, setting up all that kind of stuff, I just got like such a rock solid process for it down now that I can actually churn out these sites so much faster. I've got like people who help me with like design aspects of things. So I've kind of like turned it into like a well-oiled machine for just like building stuff. And so that is mostly what I'm focused on right now. I still do consulting. When I set up like my YouTube channel, I also had like courses and like a little online community that I did, which I still run. But I've definitely moved more towards wanting to do more work at the higher end of people's budgets rather than wanting to sell courses. Not that I have a problem with selling courses and stuff like that. It's part of it as well, but it's kind of just like the shift towards, you know what, now's the time to really cash in on the fact that people want to build things. The tools are making it easier to build things. And I've kind of like carved out a little niche for myself in the kind of directory and marketplace space. And so that's pretty much what I'm doing.
Excellent. So you made the switch very much so back to client work. You know, it's funny. A lot of people who are doing client work, they kind of think, I don't want to be doing client work. Like, let me build a product that's going to make me money so I don't need to do client work. Yeah. But then when you're not doing client work, it's like you kind of miss client work because something that you can't get from anything else is like you're working on something different all the time. Yeah. And it's like quick project, move on to the next. It's very dynamic, whereas working on one individual product can get repetitive. It has its own pros, obviously, but like there's both. And what are you building with?
Okay, so I focus primarily on like the MVP stage of things. So people are literally coming to me at like the first stage of all of this. And so I'm still primarily using like Webflow for the front ends. I'm using Airtable as like the database. I'm using not so much Make anymore. I'm pretty much just using like Airtable scripts and stuff like that now. So this is kind of one of the ways that Airtable, like using AI, has kind of tied into things. And yeah, it's basically like a lot of the things that I used to do with like various plugins and stuff like that. I'm just like using AI to kind of create like custom versions of it, upload it to like Cloudflare, and then kind of just go through there. Not because I'm trying to do fancy things, mostly because it just makes it more efficient. So like if I'm using like an AI coding tool, it's actually a lot more efficient for me to write the code in something like Cursor and then push it to somewhere like Cloudflare, and then I don't have to go through the process of manually configuring every single attribute with this, this, and this. And I've just found that for me, it's made those workflows way more efficient. Yeah. But then again, it's like use case dependent. For a lot of like user account type things, what I'm mostly using right now, I mean, like there's a mix, but I mostly use Glide, which is, again, it's a pure no-code tool, but they have a relatively good API. It's fast to set up. I can get something in front of them like relatively fast. And the key thing is like the types of like people that I'm working with, typically just like in the let's find product market fit stage of things. And what my goal is not to build them the most like scalable platform possible, and take like ages to get it done. Yeah. My thing is like, how can we get it to like a point where you can actually bring something to market within like 2 to 3 weeks max and actually start using the platform? And that works really well. And just to like circle back to like the whole client work thing, for me, there are like a few reasons why I decided to go back to it. The number one thing is that like the running of these businesses, like when you're constantly setting up your own things, is fun up until a point. It's like you get your thing up and running, you start generating a bit of revenue, but then there are like parts of the process where it's just like, now you're like just shipping new things for the sake of like building new stuff that creates like heaps of technical debt, then all that kind of stuff. And I just decided that like the area that I am best at, the area that I enjoy doing the most is the whole let's get things going type of thing, get it to a stage where it's humming, and then from there, just like let someone else do it. And for me, working with clients is essentially allowing me, one, to kind of fine tune my skill set, because I'm basically practicing going from like 0 to launch as fast and as efficient as possible. Plus, I don't need to worry about all the other parts, like how we're going to get customers, how we're going to do this. So the types of people that I'm working with come in with the expectations that they will not be touching any of the tools. I am literally their tech person, and they are responsible for building the business. And another good thing is because of the stage that I'm coming into, I do like a lot of deals where I actually get like part equity in whatever happens. And so if there is one of them that kind of gets to the point where it's like humming big time, then, you know, I've got like invested interest in helping it go the next level. And yeah, that is kind of like where I am with that. And it's good fun. It's a lot of, it works for me. It works like my style of working. And so far so good. Who knows? Maybe at some point I'll be like, enough of this.
I mean, it sounds great to me. You get to work on a bunch of different things. Where do your clients come from? Like, how do they find you?
Honestly, YouTube. Like,
really?
Yeah, man. I mean, YouTube is like being like the gift that keeps on giving. And so I'll be completely honest with you. I don't feel like I speak about this a lot, but I don't love the YouTube part of things, if I'm completely honest. It's kind of like a little bit of a rat race of like, hey, I need to just keep making stuff for the sake of making stuff. Whereas when I started it, it was more like, oh, this is really cool. The way I'm going to learn this is by explaining to people what I've learned about this. And that was my way of documenting the process. And a lot of the work that I get is from those videos. So I make my occasional comebacks to YouTube because I've found new use cases that I find interesting and that I want to talk about and all that kind of stuff. And because my focus is oftentimes on very specific use cases, it speaks to people who want to do that particular thing. So like a lot of people that find me usually say, oh, I looked up building a directory or building a marketplace and I came across your thing on YouTube and I just wanted to have a chat to you. And
exactly.
I
mean, you're basically doing the selling through that. A lot of people, I think, would think like, why would I share the exact process that I'm doing something? But if you do that in a video, everything's hard. Everything's hard. Nobody wants to, I mean, we do want to learn new things, but we don't. If somebody watches your video, sees how you do it, and they're like, well, this guy explained this really well. That's difficult though. Yeah. Oh, he does it for people. I mean, you don't need to get a whole bunch of views on a video for that to pay off. Like I was watching earlier today, maybe your most recent video, one of your most recent videos, it was about a marketplace business model, about going to subscription. And that is like so niche that like you could get 20 viewers on that video and like one of them is probably going to be an ideal client for you.
Funny you say that. Most of the people that end up becoming like the ones that have become like my bigger clients have all watched the most obscure how to set up Stripe Connect with this and this thing. The thing is, when I make the YouTube videos, I do genuinely come from a perspective of, oh, this is like how I do this. This is kind of like a fun way to document it. It's not so much like, let's create something that I can use to sell. It just, the leads and the sales kind of just come from it. There are also tons of people who watch those videos who will never hire me to build their things because they're just not like at that stage of their build. I mean, like I know that when I was getting started with my stuff, there's like zero chance I would have paid anyone any amount of money to build me this kind of thing. And so in a way I kind of want those videos to help those people out as well. I mean, like, you'll know, I mean, like the videos that I've been watching you make are just such a great way to kind of spark people's interest and in a certain way of doing it. And what I have found is that over time, people come back. Like they'll always remember you for being like, oh, I watched like a video of you doing this, and this like 2 years ago, and I want to hire you to help me do this and that. And yeah, it's cool. I mean, like ultimately that is kind of what is like one of the main reasons why I do it, just to help people get going, create some stuff, have fun, you know?
That is exactly what I always recommend to people who are getting started, like make content. It takes a while because it's exactly that. Somebody doesn't, I mean, I'm sure it happens sometimes. Somebody's not going to watch your video and then just be like, let me pay this guy now. All of a sudden, like an impulse buy, like it's like a pair of socks on Black Friday. They'll see you. They know who you are. They'll maybe see you again. They'll see you reference. They'll see a thumbnail. They don't even watch the video. And it just builds up over time. And you get to a point where, I mean, when was your last YouTube video posted? Wasn't it like a couple months ago?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
And like you've still got people in.
I do it in seasons now as well. There was like a point where I was stressing myself out about like, oh, I need to make this video. I need to make this video. Now I'm just like, nah. When I feel like I have something to share, I'll share it. And then I won't make it in like, I won't make one video. I'll make like 7 or 8 and it will be like a chunk. So like there was like the whole building a directory phase of things, which I kind of got into, and it was like a really great way of exploring that use case. But then I was like, there's nothing more to say. Like now I'm like recycling shit. If I just keep making videos for the sake of making videos, I feel like if I were like primarily a content creator, that would be a horrible strategy of just like doing it whenever you feel like it. But I just see it as like something I do when I feel like doing it. And I feel like that makes it more sustainable for me, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot I'd want to make content about now. I just need to find a way to string it all together.
So speaking of making content about things now, one thing I got to ask you, so you said you're mainly using Webflow and Airtable to make MVPs.
Yeah. I mean, I am using, I've dabbled in all of it, like I'm primarily spending time in like Cursor or like various AI tools at the moment. I don't spend that much time in the tools, but the main reason why I still use Webflow, for example, is just because I understand it. Like it's not that much of a time suck for me to actually just go in there, set it up and get going. Wrestling with building front ends, even though it's clearly getting better, actually takes me more time getting it to the state that I want it in than to just build it in Webflow and then kind of go from there. With that being said, I also have like a very specific use case that I'm working on. I'm not like building different apps all the time. I feel like if I were building different apps all the time, it would be a completely different story, because I feel like that's where using those tools will really speed up your workflows. But for example, where I have just like completely doubled down on is just like the automation side of things. I basically do nothing in Make anymore. For me, I am just using MCPs for days. I basically teach Cursor or Claude I basically feed it my API docs and the API documentation and like my schemas and stuff like that. And then I just describe the workflows that I want it to create, and it like writes me basically one-shot scripts that I can just copy and paste into Airtable automation, just runs the thing. And the time that it takes me to actually drag this module and drag that module in and Make is just like, I can do this in a fraction of the time. I love all of the tools, but for me, the main purpose of it is to actually make me more efficient. And I feel like in the automation space and database space, I've got my processes down. When it comes to the front end side of things, it's still a bit too finicky for me personally. And it's probably like a skill issue more than anything, but who knows? We're heading there, like clearly heading there.
It's actually, so if we were talking about this literally, I don't know if I feel like I've been saying 2 weeks for 2 weeks now, but Opus 4.5 and GPT-3. If we were talking about this, I'm going to say 3 weeks ago, I would have been like 100%. And I just wish I could build these UIs in Webflow and then deal with the logic side of things on my own, like diehard Claude Code user. Tried Cursor again recently, canceled it instantly. I don't know what it is. I'm diehard Claude Code.
Yeah.
Now I am quite literally making front ends with AI that are like better than anything I can build in Webflow. Can I show you super quickly?
100%. Well, this is like one of the main reasons why I reached out to you, because I see the videos that you're making and I'm like, oh dude, you're figuring this out, because here's why you're figuring this out is because you actually have the skill set to fall back on to understand how everything fits together, which is something that if you do not know some of the basics, it's just like you're just wrestling with this thing all day long, Yeah,
literally. I gave a speech on that. There's like a Webflow. It's sponsored by Webflow, not official Webflow conference in Serbia every year. Great conference. But anyways, I gave a speech on that last year about how, you could just jump into vibe coding, but like, when something breaks, if you have no idea of how it functions, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have, I'm getting my wife into vibe coding now, and it's very funny because there's these things which I just noticed that she wouldn't notice. Like her dev server kept starting and it was a different project altogether. I look at it, she has no idea. How would anyone know what that is? There's different projects. I go in and there's literally nested folders with Claude just decided to make a new project 5 different times. So my recommendation to people is build some apps with Webflow MemberStack Make or Glide.
100%.
Learn it. Even if you're not going to use it, that will teach you how things function and your brain changes to understand these logic, basically.
100%. So I couldn't agree more with you because the abstraction that no-code, no-code basically teaches you databases, front ends, auth. And so when you start working with newer tools like Superbase and all those kinds of things, you can kind of make the connection between how everything works together. The thing is, there are subtle little differences in how no-code works versus code. And that's that little learning barrier that you just have to overcome, And I feel but I mean, I feel like nowadays I'm so in tune with just like making, asking, so that you kind of fill those gaps pretty quickly. And then, but before you know it, you're slowly making those transitions into those tools anyway. I mean, like for me, like a big thing has been like using agents and skills and like commands to basically streamline how I use different tools in Claude. And like once you get those basic concepts, it's easier than you think it is, but it's also hard if you don't understand what's happening.
It feels like steps to me. And you're on the ground floor if you know nothing about anything. If you are a full stack developer who actually knows what they're doing, you're up here. And it just feels like there's steps along the way. And no code to me feels like the first step to take from nothing, because you're actually understanding logic. Like something, and I'm going to share my screen while I start talking. Something I'm wondering now is like, I have this foundation because I have built it on building a bunch of different things. But if someone's coming in now, I feel like it would be hard for them to go, okay, I'm going to learn how to like string together Webflow with other tools to build these apps, when I could just, talk to Claude Code and have it do it. I'm glad I did it, but I don't know if the future of people are going to do it. And on the note of front ends, what I'm showing you right now, also these animations, this is just like a concept prototype for the MemberStack homepage that I'm doing.
Yeah.
All of these were done just with Claude Code. I did not interfere with the development in any way. It just keeps on going.
Okay, I have so many questions here. So
I'm going to keep scrolling.
Okay, the first question that I have here is the model that you're using is Opus 4.5, correct?
Yep.
Okay, the second question that I have is what kind of libraries are you using in order to like streamline this? Because Opus, as good as it is not creating this. I can tell you that right now. There's something else going on here.
Well, the only dependency related to animations that I have is Framer Motion, right? It's just called Motion now. But like, I didn't make it. Like, okay, these, for example, like I told it, okay, add the following features. I'm like, make a micro interaction for each one. So for passwordless auth, it made this.
Where's it getting all of the images and screenshots from?
I don't know.
What?
I mean,
so you're telling me it's just pulled in like the Stripe logo?
Yes. It pulled this in. I promise you, I did not tinker with this. I tinkered with it by being like the center. It was a bit like up high, up to the top, like a few simple visual things. But like this animation right here was, not only was this one-shotted, but it was one-shotted along with all four of these, all three of these, and this one, all in one prompt. Now, I tweaked it after that with Claude, as in, like what I said, these, for example, like it had this animation, it was beautiful, but this dot was like up here. And I'm like, no, that looks weird. So I take a screenshot, send it to it, say, okay, move this dot down here. But like, straight up, this 3 weeks ago, no, not happening. Absolutely not. I
am shocked. I am actually just going to say straight up, this is not quite what I expected. I am shocked. So, okay, so is it basically those are the logos that it generates, and then you can basically just say, can you replace it with like these files, and you just add the files to your like folder?
Yeah. So like I would open now the public folder within the project folder, upload like Notion.svg, Webflow SVG Zapier, and then I would just say replace it with these logos. Sometimes it finds it on its own, but usually like if you want an actual specific logo, you need to like this FAQ section.
When you are designing these pages, when you're prompting it, are you priming it to follow certain processes or best practices, or are you literally just saying create me like a one-pager about this, this, and this?
Okay, so what I did for this, and I will say up until now, this is it just keeps, there's way more pages. Like it just keeps going. The way that I made this was, first of all, so what I'm doing, I'm literally just prototyping, experimenting with the MemberStack homepage. And what I did was I got the Playwright MCP. You know what the Playwright MCP is?
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. Honestly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it allows it to take and analyze screenshots of whatever you're building. What's not to love? It did that on the MemberStack site, like on our current homepage. I had it do that. And then I'm like, okay, now make a markdown like brand guideline document explaining everything that's on this page and the way the brand speaks and all that fun stuff, the colors that are used, like corners, all that stuff. And then I tweaked it by telling it, hey, we want to change it from X to Z. So I got a branding document where I'm like, the colors are right, the brand messaging is right, all of that stuff is great. Then I told it, I actually sent it a screenshot again of the whole MemberStack site, and I'm just like, make a homepage for this. So my prompting, a lot of people, they talk about their fancy prompting, the JSON prompting, they're this, they're that. I will literally just be talking to Claude and I'll say like, this looks like shit. I do not have any sort of like fanciness with my prompting, but because I built up this foundation and then it generated the page, that was not the page that it generated. It was a phenomenal start, but it wasn't the page. So section by section, hero first, tweak. Okay, it looks good. Moving on. That homepage took about 8 hours of prompting to build. But once that's done, now I go to another page and I say, build me a page for this feature. Here's the copy. And in 30 minutes, you can go from like nothing to that.
I love it because I see how you prompt it as well. And it's like, interestingly enough, I don't know if you found this, is the more specific you get, the more it like isn't as good, if you know what I'm saying, because it's kind of like, it's trying to please your prompt in a way. It's trying, but like sometimes what you're asking it to do just does not make sense. But it's like still trying to make it work. So I feel like just like the free kind of like, just this is what I'm after. Here's like some references, go and do it is actually like the best starting point. And then doing what you said, going through it section by section and being like, okay, here's how we fix this. This is exactly how I've been doing it with like setting up my workflows and my scripts. I'm just like, go ahead. This is what I'm trying to do. Here's my schema. Here are my API docs. Do what you think's right. Add console logs. And then I'm literally like copy and pasting console logs back into the thing. And I'm going through it section by section. And as it's getting better, it's like one-shotting it way more because it has those reference points to be like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and do this, and this. Follow-up question for you. When you jumping in there, are you specifying like what languages you want it to be written in? Do you say, I want this to be done in HTML, React, whatever?
Well, I always start the project from a boilerplate every single time. When it comes to web-based projects, I always start it from a Vercel boilerplate, which uses React and Next.js. Why? Well, because that's like what I've heard people recommend.
Can you show me the boilerplates that you use?
Yeah. Here, let me actually, I just realized I closed off everything. Why did I do that?
That one?
It's literally just, so I don't have this problem anymore, but when I started using this was when I was really getting into vibe coding, and I noticed like once I got a project off the ground, it was very easy. But at the start, I'd be like, set up a project, dev server won't run, install Tailwind wouldn't work. So starting from this makes it so much easier, but I have done other things too. Like I made a mobile app and that's using Flutter. The reason I use Flutter is because I remember talking to some developers a while back who were building a mobile app, and I was asking them like, don't you have to do separate code for Android and for iOS? And they're like, no, we just use Flutter. So I usually do not let the LLM decide the tech stack. I don't stand by that decision. Like maybe it would be a better idea. Maybe I'm kind of rabbit holing it into choosing a specific tech stack when another one would be better. But that is one thing I usually do not let AI decide is the tech stack.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, that's like one of the main things that I'm very specific about, like, here are the tools that I want to use, all that kind of stuff, because it can lead you astray. And then before you know it, it's like you've spent 4 days trying to do something that was never going to work. And I mean, like, one of the things that I've noticed is like, so a lot of people who are getting into this space, who might be like brand new to building these sites, use tools like Lovable, all that kind of stuff. to build, and I hear about this the most, they try to build things like directories that are supposed to have like really good SEO, but the default frameworks that are used just do not do server-side rendering. So, because like the default framework that it will use is like Vita or whatever it's called and stuff like that, and it doesn't allow for server-side rendering. Now I'm kind of like, all right, you kind of need to think about that in advance because your use case is like super important there. And so like, I feel like what AppGen has done is like really like kind of pointed me towards like a few other frameworks that are really good, like Astro, all that kind of stuff, to give you a bit of an idea of what's appropriate when. I mean, like one of the trappings is it's like when something like Google launches like a new model that is like fantastic at design and you like jump in there, again, it's like you need to understand what is actually happening behind the scenes in order for you to actually get good value out of it, because otherwise you'll just end up with something that looks very good but just doesn't even work.
That is what so when it comes to stuff like Lovable and even Webflow AppGen, I have a lot of thoughts on. I actually made a video this morning. It's probably going to be live in 17 minutes, specifically with my honest thoughts on AppGen, which are a mixture of loving it and hating it and being really hopeful, but also scared for what it's going to become. But the problem with any of these tools I find where it's an all-in-one, Lovable, Webflow AppGen, Bolt, Replit, all of these things, is like, they control all of it. If they have an issue, you have an issue. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily them just shutting down and going out of business, but like my stack, I use Claude Code. I deploy pretty much always with Vercel, and I use typically Next.js and React. And we all know what I use for auth. That's no secret. If any one of these things stops working for me, I can stop using it, plug something else in, and there you go. Like when Gemini 3 came out, post Gemini 3, pre Opus 4.5, I was like, okay, Gemini 3 is so much better at front end. So I was like, I want to have something that I can work with Gemini 3. When you're looking at something like Webflow AppGen, you can't select the model. I know with Lovable, Replit, you almost always can. But like, you know what I'm saying? So if new technology 100%. Comes out and I want to swap it out, I want to understand what's going on. Like I use the exact same tools that a professional developer uses. I may not be able to write the code by scratch, but I use the same tools. And if I go to one of them, they will be able to fix my vibe coded slop.
Yeah. I feel like we like share a lot of the same opinions on this. The thing about tools like Lovable, and there's tons of them now. I mean, like, it seems like every other week there's a new thing that's come out that is like the next big thing and stuff like that. But it's what these tools are particularly good at is creating the impression that you can speak into a microphone and create like an app because of all the marketing that is built around it. And it's just, first of all, I think it's a good thing if it gets people into wanting to explore the space. But also, at that point, you are so close to actually just straight up coding that like you may as well just like actually learn how the actual tools work. And I'm with you. I just feel like what makes something like Lovable is so appealing is the same thing that makes Webflow so appealing is the immediate visual feedback that you get from the actual tool that you're learning. However, I just feel like if you want that feedback, you want that visual feedback so that you can learn how moving something actually affects what you see. That is what these tools don't really do. It's not as easy to just jump into like a file, change like the padding of this and that if you don't know what you're coming from. That's what Webflow does well. So I feel like Webflow is just like way better at like showing you, hey, if you move this, then this happens in your front end. For me personally, I feel like learning how everything fits together with no code and then straight transitioning to something like Claude Code is probably like the best way to get into AI coding, if you know what I'm saying.
I agree 100%. I just think it's a big gap. So I think that anyone and everyone, like I know some people who've been sending like they're getting their parents vibe coding with like Google AI Studio, Lovable, stuff like that. That's really cool because people can build stuff for themselves, for their family, just because it's cool. It's fun and it gets them into it. And I love that. And I'm all there for that. But like the difference is I would be able to build, I'm not going to say an enterprise application, but like I would be able to build, manage, and maintain an application doing, at least a couple tens of thousands a month of like monthly active users with no problem because I understand how everything works. But if you have someone who doesn't, they don't have that foundation. They don't know where to look. If something in my app is broken, I almost always know the exact file where something is broken in it because I understand that. And so if you give someone who just has no idea, then I don't know. I'd like to see it. You know?
I mean, one of the things that I have like really like, as I've jumped into this space more, the one skill that I feel has been like the most useful one to learn, honestly, is Git and how to use GitHub. That is something that is not even on the,
I'm so bad at version control. Like, it's embarrassing. That's my biggest like shame.
Okay, so I actually think that this is something that is just because of the habits that we've developed in the no-code world, where it's just like, we've got the .webflow.io domain and then we've got production, and sometimes they accidentally both tick. The concept of that doesn't actually exist in our world because it's just not feasible in that way. You really need to like spend the time kind of understanding what exactly is going on and abstracting that down to like, how would this work in the no code world? And so like, for example, like I was explaining what I had learned about it when it comes to like, you know, merging, pull requests, all that kind of stuff. And it's literally like, you're cloning your Webflow project, you're making all of the changes, testing it all out, and if it doesn't break, you like copy and paste it into your main project. That is one of the most important things that I think you need to understand when you are trying to build like enterprise, even just like production apps. Because the second you get paying customers, if you vibe code something that like breaks your entire app, that's like a massive problem. I just don't see how tools like Lovable or all those other tools are actually encouraging people to understand what it is that you're doing there, because it's not really in their interest for you to move your stuff into a repository like that. I mean, like, I know they allow you to do it, but again, I think a lot of these companies prefer just keep it in here. We'll have some checkpoints for you and all that kind of stuff.
Webflow code export. It's the same thing. Webflow allows you to export your site. They're not lying. They do that. You can do it, but it's like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Trust me, you don't want to do that.
Yeah,
and I would love to have another conversation maybe where I would love to see how you build what you build, exactly what you're telling me with Webflow and with Airtable, and I would love to try to do the same thing with my stack. You know this. I was a Webflow developer. I saw some of your videos. I got really into MemberStack and like building like web apps with Webflow. Yeah. Now I'm here. Now that's all I do. I almost never build marketing websites anymore. But I spent so much time and I did so many videos, so many tutorials on this like Webflow MemberStack make stack together. And I don't see people building with those tools. I mean, they build with all of those tools, but not all of those tools together anymore. I don't want vibe coding to be taking over no code because of exactly what I said. Like, we're going to run into a generation of people who have no fundamental understanding of any of this stuff. That's my concern. And so,
I mean, I'll say a few things about that. The first thing that I'll say is that at the end of the day, like, I feel that people look at no code as kind of like a kid's thing. Like, it's like, oh, this is kind of what you do if you don't know what you're doing, kind of tools, which is just something that I feel, I don't know where it gets pushed from, probably partially the community, the developer community, all that kind of stuff. But like, even if you like look at MemberStack, these are like serious tools. These are like, essentially like serve a specific purpose for a specific type of app. And like, these tools will stick around if they adjust how they position themselves in the market. For example, so I actually, for the first time in a while, had a new MemberStack project start, and I logged in, and it's the process of setting it up is just so clean now. Like, I hadn't used it in like years, and it's just like within like, I think like 20 minutes, I had everything set up, like log in, the whole shebang was done. There are a few things though that I think are key about what I notice you're doing. First of all, the fact that you are making the videos that you're making on the MemberStack channel is so important, because at the moment, people are primarily attracted to how do I speak into a microphone and make this, and this happen. And all the content that you're creating is around that. The second thing is you need to understand like where the market is moving. So like the fact that like MemberStack has an MCP server is a massive deal, because You sometimes you kind of feel like, oh, it's just like a new thing. No. Airtable doesn't have their own official MCP. Some dude built like his own version of the Airtable MCP. I use that every single day. Like, it is like, can transform, use that, you know? So there's that. You kind of need to look at like, how well are you adjusting to like where the market is right now? And I feel like there are a few companies that are doing it okay. I'll be honest, I'm not going to put Webflow up there as one of them. I mean, I know that they have done stuff in the space, but honestly, I don't mean to be a hater. This is the thing about it. I don't mean to be a hater, but man, they need, I don't know if Bryant, who used to be their CTO, is still involved with it, but he's like the guy who was like, let's bring DevLink in, all that kind of stuff. When he was in charge of things, I felt like there's always something crazy cool in the works with Webflow. I just don't feel that as much anymore. Webflow is obviously an incredible tool. But I mean, other people are catching up with the tools that they're creating. I feel like it's a bit hard to like pinpoint because they're clearly doing things like Webflow App Gen and all that kind of stuff is like a big deal. But I just kind of feel like alternatives are popping up and they're becoming more viable options for people that don't fully understand like what Webflow does is kind of the thing, if you know what I'm saying. Yes. Just to like throw a few other tools out there, like Glide is another tool that is like really good. In my opinion, for like they've adapted well into how the space is evolving with AI tools. And again, I'm typically not a fan of like all-in-one builders. Simplicity is like the key thing. Yeah. If you just want to get something up and running fast, it's a really great tool to get started with because it's just visual. There's only so much you can really configure. You're definitely not going to build like the exact design that you want, but I feel for a lot of people that's good in a way as well. Yeah. But I mean, like they have got like a new database system that like allows you to scale infinitely. You can have like tons of users. They've got their own little issues as well, but I feel like they are again a different entry point for people to get into the product space as well. Another thing is I feel like a lot of no-code companies are not adjusting well enough to how the market has evolved. I'm not going to name names, but they're like, I'm on some enterprise plans with some no-code companies, and I am constantly like, why am I giving them this much money when literally these tools are out here right now? And I just feel like there's no willingness to make adjustments in that sense as well. Because like, if you think about, I want to build a marketing site, how much does it cost to host like your own personal website on Vercel, for example? Like
pretty much almost always free.
It's almost always free, you know? How much are you paying Superbase? Like $20, and then it was like $10 per instance that you set up. And it's like barely, you know. The thing is, Airtable, and I'm like on their like highest non-enterprise plan, but I've been on that plan for like ever. It's like $50. It's like, it's too cheap to want to even consider other options, you know? Yeah. A lot of these other companies are just not smelling the coffee, for lack of a better way of describing it. I mean, for us, we like see the value in something like Webflow and the CMS plan and the business plan and all that kind of stuff. How on earth are you going to convince new people to use your tool when like it costs like $70 to host like a basic website? Yeah. When you can do it on Vercel for free. And there's just some dude who's made a YouTube video about this where it's like, set this up. This is how much it scales, and here's like a template that you can use. These companies need to like adapt to this. Otherwise, I don't know.
The value needs to be there. Like it needs to be worth it. And that's why I think Webflow is in a position where they could actually do the greatest thing ever. Like Webflow became the no-code tool for professionals building websites. So it's like, because you have things like Wix, you have things like Squarespace. Now, I'm not a fan of stack superiority of any kind. Like the way I see it, if something serves what you're doing, if you want to get a quick templated website up fast, use Wix. If you want a full featured application that does everything you need it to do, use Glide, because why wouldn't you? It has everything that you need it to have. Yeah. Webflow kind of step themselves apart. They're like, no, you've got Wix, you've got Squarespace. They're all well and good over there. Good for them. But if you don't want to do a custom built website, but you still want it to be perfect to your specifications, if you're building for clients, whatever it might be, come right in here. Now AI is coming around. Well, what can Webflow do? The way I see it, if Webflow focused on doing the same thing that they did with no code with AI, as in, so you were mentioning like wrestling with AI over front ends, which it's getting a lot easier, sure. But at the same time, even still, I have to sit there and say, make the corners a little bit more rounded. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Can you imagine if you had an agent as good as, let's say, Claude Code? You could build whatever you want. You can access all the code yourself. And then just like in Webflow, where, as you said, you can make a slight change and directly see how X affects Y. That's what Webflow needs to be doing. Like if I could build my projects inside of Webflow and have that same little bit of tweaking to see exactly how everything looks, make it perfect, get a client's Figma file, replicate it perfectly. That is what Webflow, in my opinion, should be doing. And the releases that they've been doing, like, look, you've got the MCP server, you've got code components, you've got app gen. These releases, in my opinion, are good, and I think they're headed on the right track. But the products themselves, once they get in your hands, you're like, I don't know. I mean, code components, it's missing like version control. I literally don't know how they expect people to do version control with code components, but MCP server, I mean, the idea of an MCP server for Webflow. Oh, not to diverge too much. You talked about how you love MCP servers. There's all sorts of hate on the internet right now about MCP server. It's not the best protocol, too much context. Dude, MCP servers changed my life. And
I mean, they are incredibly inefficient, really. But like,
totally.
But it's also in a way neat when you don't need to like create custom API calls to do things.
I don't have to click things, man. I mean, here's the thing. I always say it's the paper straw, in my opinion, or the paper bag. It's like, we all know we shouldn't be using plastic bags, so we all know we need an alternative. Yeah. But when I pick up that paper, I mean, you're from Germany, so you know, you pick up like a Lidl bag, and it just crumbles in front of you. I'm like, oh no. So I feel like with MCP servers, you got the people who are saying, you know, these plastic bags, MCP servers, are not good. They're context hogs. Totally agreed. What's the alternative? Not using an MCP server. Now, when I'm using MemberStack, we spent all this time working on a beautiful dashboard. I love it. It's all well and good. But I hate using it because I can literally just connect it to Claude Code, be like, I need a $20 a month plan. I need a data table to hold all of my members' posts, and I need gated content on the app route. Done. You know? So until someone comes up with something better, I'm all in on MCPs.
So, okay, I want to quickly circle back to the whole design thing because I agree with you. I feel like there's like so many opportunities to like really, for the design space to like really evolve. And this is exactly what Webflow should be doing. How can we build something that allows you to basically build the best front ends with any framework that you're using with AI? Because that is, like, Webflow's already built up the brand. They're known for that. Again, I know nothing. This is all just like me making stuff up. But like, I feel like sometimes companies get to a certain point where they get so big that making any significant moves is risky. You cannot do something that could potentially pivot the company in a different direction because you are already at a certain point that if you move too far away from it, it's going to affect like your enterprise customers. It's going to affect, and it might affect your overall business. So that's why I feel like it's just hard. So like when you see companies like WordPress and stuff like that, it's like, I remember when the Webflow space started, everyone was like, oh, you know, WordPress is like a dinosaur and all this kind of stuff. Well, we're now in the Webflow era of this, and there's an opportunity to do it. I just don't know if they are going to be willing to make those changes to adapt to the current market because of where they are as a business. They're not like a startup anymore. They're like, I don't know how far away they are from like going public or something like that, but like they are massive at this point. But do you know who I do actually think, and I don't know this is just a feeling, but do you know who I actually think could become the like AI design tool? Relume. Relume.
Oh, Relume. Oh,
so
Relume.
I feel those boys innovative. Like they are not afraid to like go out and try stuff. Like they are always, you know, they're very thoughtful. They're not like, let's just like try anything, but they also have a good sense of like what's going on. Both of them, by the way, both of the co-founders. But like I've had like conversations with Dan, and I when I talk to them, I just get a sense that they are like really in tune with how things work. I mean, there are just sometimes people who just they just understand things. And I feel like the reason why they understand things so well is because they both ran an agency and they understand it from a perspective of what the customer wants. They also understand it from the perspective of the people actually making things. And I feel like still to this day, they are in the weeds, I know that Adam, obviously he's in charge of probably all design related and brand related things with Relume. So he's still in the weeds of that. Dan is the business guy. And so he has a feel on that side of things as well. And I feel like if someone's going to do it, they're going to do it. They're going to find a way to actually adapt Relume in a way that it essentially becomes the framework that you use to start AI projects. And they'll give you entire sections. I also feel like Shad CN is probably also one of them that might do it as well. I discover things like Tweak CN and stuff through you as well. But as you start seeing them come up with MCP servers and all those kind of things, you can kind of see all right, we understand where things are going. Let's lean into it. That is the kind of stuff that I feel like I want to see and want to get excited about. So I don't know. My thing is I honestly think the Relume guys are more likely to do something in this space than Webflow is, just purely based off the fact that I feel like Webflow has now gotten quite big. The bigger you get, once I don't know shit. So if any of the Webflow people are watching this being this, no, I'm sorry. This is just my opinion. Once you get to the stage where the founders move on and you get the business people in, you lose that little spark that actually moves things along on a product front. And that is the primary driver of the value in a business. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. That's why I think Superbase is doing so well as well. The guys that run it are still the founders. They are the people who are let's just make this better and better and better and better and better.
Absolutely. Look at Vercel as well. Vercel, everything that they make is good. It's really good. They picked up super fast a few years ago. Part of this is just because of me, and part of it is because of the company. I had no idea what Vercel was. Now it is massive. Their biggest competitor is Cloudflare, and Cloudflare is a complete juggernaut. Definitely in the vision side of things. And when it comes to Relume is I've never met the guys, never spoken to them, and yet I am so proud of them. And they literally, in my opinion, pulled off the best, because right now with every company pivoting to AI in some way, you've got two companies. You've got the Google, who's overhaul everything with AI, and you've got the Apple, who's uncomfortably quiet on it and does absolutely nothing with it. So there's a very fine pathway to actually building AI features which are genuinely helpful, not just shiny new products. Relume literally cracked the code. And I talked about this in a video recently. My assumption is exactly what you said. They were, I guess still are. I don't know if the agency even exists anymore, but they know agency. They know how professionals build websites. And they used AI to take out all of the stuff that nobody wants to do, so that you as the professional can just be what looks good? What's good? How do I build this? Take it and then take that site to the next level. I haven't seen anyone else do any as good of an application of AI in any product short of AI chatbots, which are
short of you with all your prompting.
I don't know what I need to have someone do a study on me when it comes to my prompting, because I seem to just get these results and I don't know why. My prompting is nothing fancy. It's really not.
Please document what you're doing. Even just so with the Playwright MCP, I haven't used it for that specific use case, but I am going to now. But you know what I have used it for? This has been my hack of the century. So when I build apps or websites for people, because I'm building it for them, one of the things I do now is I document it for them. But the way that I document it is I just send Playwright to basically go through, test all of my different features for me, and then take screenshots along the way. And then it writes these real awesome guides on how it works with really nice looking screenshots and stuff like that. And it's happening while I'm making a coffee. And I'm This is like, yeah, Playwright is a sick one. Yeah. But yeah. Oh man, there's just so much exciting stuff going on. As someone that is in this space, do you feel like as exciting as all of it is, in like a year or two, this is all going to be irrelevant?
Well, I mean, looking at it this way, like most of my skill has now gotten to a point with AI where AI can do it as good or better than me, which is insane to think about. And honestly, if you were to say to me, like, you could just, red pill, blue pill matrix, like go to an alternate reality where AI never happened, I would take that alternate reality. That being said, this isn't the matrix and I can't do that. So I am enjoying it very much so as we have it. And I have a hopeful future for what's going to happen with builders as AI becomes better than humans at doing virtually everything. And that is like Webflow has been around for a while. Even things like Wix, Squarespace, they've been around for a while. Anyone can build a website. That's nothing new. How many people do you know who've built websites? Yeah. Not very many.
100%.
So it's just getting more and more of that. And I am hoping it's going to get to the point where anyone can build anything on the internet. Fine. But I think we're going to get to a point where we do what we want to do, what we're passionate about. If websites mean a lot to me and I like building good websites and I like analyzing other websites and seeing what matters, I'm going to build a better website than you are with the same AI. And so I think it's really going to transition into that. It's not going to be like, I can build a web app, you can build like a database, you can build in Framer, you can build in Webflow. It's like, I like websites, so I produce websites. You like apps, so you produce apps. And the barrier to entry is going to become very low, and people are going to be judged from nothing beyond like the quality of their work. Oh, you built that app?
Yeah.
Amazing. Which
100%.
is a hopeful future for me.
I mean, I am so with you. I definitely am like on the same page with like, if you could choose AI world, yes or no, I feel like no is a safer bet. It's kind of like an exciting time to be someone who's in this space. It kind of makes me think about people who are not in this space as well a bit. Do people even understand what's going on? Like, one thing that happened to me last Christmas, actually, I remember this. I mean, like, already like deep in AI, but I actually met someone who had never used ChatGPT before. They had never seen it being used and all that kind of stuff, and been like, oh wow, like this is going to blow your mind when I show you this. And I showed them, they were like, yo, what's going on? And I'm like, there are also like a lot of people out there who don't even understand kind of what is happening in a way, which is kind of interesting. There's a lot of potential for just bad stuff in general. I was thinking about like, if I had to start my career from scratch and I could not enter any of the industries that I've been in, and I basically have to build my skill set from scratch, I feel like the industry that would be most interesting for the future is like AI security, cyber security, and just like get really into that, because we're already entering like a phase now where, for example, I don't know if you heard about like how Claude Code was used to basically hack all of these like enterprise businesses of theirs by basically prompt engineering it. I was reading an article about it, and it was just like these like micro prompts that were stacked together so that Claude couldn't understand the full context of what was going on. And it was used to basically launch all these cyber attacks on like enterprise level customers. And it's literally people using the tools the way that we're using them to build websites. They are using those exact same tools to like hack people. Can you imagine where we're going to be in like 2-3 years with just like everyday people like you and me? Like we're not going to fall for like the scam email right now, but who knows what's around the corner? Who knows what's around the corner? I feel like as excited as everyone is in this space about building new things and like, let's get the next model up, I feel like AI security is like an area where I feel like there'll be like tons and tons of opportunities. And so, yeah.
I agree. I mean, are you talking about like security of how we build AI or like cyber security?
No, so I think more about, I mean, I get like tons of applications of it, but I feel like specifically, like products that you can build to protect people from AI that is essentially out to come scam you, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an opportunity. I mean, AI security, I feel like mostly will fall on the Anthropics, the OpenAIs, and I do think that they do a lot in that space already. But again, we're also at a stage where every 3 weeks, there's like a new model that is like tons better than the model that we saw 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, if you're thinking about yourself as a business, how much are you actually going to invest in AI security? Because that's the non-pretty stuff that doesn't generate more revenue. And now Google's out. They've got Gemini free. Okay, now GPT 5.0 or whatever that we launched like a week ago is like no longer like the big dog of the yard. Let's just like focus all our resources on that. And it's like, how many of them now? Like 5 or 6 of them? It's this cycle. Kind of a bit of a tangent, but I'm just also like a thing to think about in terms of like opportunities. I feel like that will come up in that space.
I mean, the future for anyone getting into any career in tech is going to look so different now compared to when you got into it. When I got into it, very different because they're just not going to learn the same tools. It doesn't make the same sense. And I'm just hopeful that it's going to transition into something where we can all work on stuff that we want to work on.
Yeah.
Not where it's just companies running AI agents and making a ton of money while the rest of us all cry. But
yeah,
we'll find out.
I've got so many more rabbit holes to go down. I need to like contain myself. I want to show you one last, because I was like, okay, I'll show you like an AI thing there, but do you use Teller at all? Or have you used Teller? The screen recording tool?
I know what it is. I haven't used it.
Okay, it might not be like that relevant, but I use it all the time because it's like a fun screen recording tool. It's basically, I don't need to like do any editing in post because you can basically move like animations and stuff around. But one of the things that kind of annoys me about it is my workflows for like getting my videos and then getting the transcript and then turning that into a blog post and all that kind of stuff is like super tedious because they don't have an API and it's just like a lot of manual stuff. They are building an API now. And I don't know how much it has to do with me, but I took some inspiration from FinSuite and when they kind of built all their extensions in Webflow, and I built like I basically vibe coded a Chrome extension that basically turned this into like a little API. And so basically this here is not actually part of Teller. This is something that I added as a Chrome extension. So usually you've got your chapters, which is part of their default UI. You've got the transcript that is generated. And then you also have comments. But then I added this. And what it does now is it basically, for lack of a better way of describing it, scrapes content off the site, like the transcript and the chapters and various other pieces of information that are on the site. And then what I can do is I can basically click on send to webhook. And what it does is it sends all of that information to like a make.com endpoint. And then from there, you can basically transform it into like a blog post or a YouTube video script or whatever it may be. Without actually having to do anything. And I basically was like, I want to build a Chrome extension for myself because I feel like this will save me like tons of time. Because now, like when I'm creating, for example, course content, I don't need to like record the video and then I need to go and create the page and add the content and all that kind of stuff. Now I can just like record the video, click this button, and it basically does it all for me in the back end. And I basically did it just by speaking into a microphone. So that's a little AI project to show you.
That is awesome. That is a kind of thing. And on that note, whenever people are wondering what they should build, I just say, like, what do you need? What do you need? What do I need? Well, you need something. Like you're going on about your day. Like, okay, fine, we work with computers, so there's a bit more obvious stuff. But like whatever you do, there's something where you're like, I need something to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, build it. Build it. If you use it constantly and you like it, maybe other people will too. If you don't, what are you doing? You know, that's the exact thing. Like build that for you. And if you constantly use that, turn it into a product.
100%. I agree. After I built it, I actually sent it to like CEO and the CTO of Teller, and they're like, this is awesome. well, we're just going to build the official API now. And I'm like, yes, because it's like, there are like certain things that are just like, you can't do with it because it's like not, the information is not, but like the best way to get into like those things is like actually thinking about something practically that you would use on a day-to-day basis and have a crack at it. And yeah, I mean, it's just fun. I mean, like the idea of building something like this, even now that I'm doing it more often, is still kind of like, wow, we're really like moving into like a new space with this now. So
it's just getting easier. It's just getting better. And
for sure. One last thing about MemberStack, given that this is, given all the stuff that you're doing. First of all, love data tables. Great idea. Great innovation.
Yes.
I think that is like a fantastic addition to everything. Love the MCP. I think the MCP, again, is such a game changer. If you keep doing this stuff, like MemberStack is like, it's just like a user-friendly way to get things going. I mean, in my opinion, you know, I mean, like, there are obviously going to be certain things, like Superbase is obviously like, from like a target market perspective, slightly different, but it serves the like Webflow market. But I mean, like, there's no reason why you couldn't use it for those things as well. One of the things that I was super stoked about was before I kind of moved, and I didn't stop using MemberStack because I didn't like it. It was just like, I was just getting annoyed with like some of the Webflow, building dashboards in Webflow was just kind of getting on my nerves a bit.
Yeah.
But one of the things that before I switched to Glide was I reached out to the Whale Sync people and I'm like, can you create like an Airtable to MemberStack sync? But I never ended up using it because I switched over. But the other day when I started on my new project, I logged in and it was there. And the syncing works beautifully. It's really cool addition to that stack. All I'm hoping for is to get those data tables syncing as well. So it's the full experience.
Yeah. Data tables synced with Airtable.
Just through Whale Sync. Because do you have endpoints for those, for the data tables?
Yep. Now we do. We had, it was by default accessible through the DOM package. So like front end only, there was no API. Now it is also accessible to the REST API. So now it's possible. Actually, I have the documentation.
Julian, for a future video, should you and me, should we like smash out a build together? I feel like this was like a big talk, but I feel like in a way we're like obligated to have a little bit of a build session where we build something with like the whole Webflow MemberStack Airtable stack. You do one thing, I'll do the other thing, and then we can like mash it into like a little series on how to build something.
I would love to. That was exactly what I was thinking here. It's like today we're just going to talk. And we're going to get excited about something. And that is exactly what I'm thinking. Let's build something together. We'll plan that out. Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to try. I haven't used I feel like there's a lot of tools that you use a lot that I haven't used in a while, and maybe vice versa.
I will say, like, the reason why I use Airtable nowadays is primarily because I don't need to configure a custom admin portal. That is it. Because I don't want to spend any time in the Webflow CMS editing stuff.
No.
I don't want to have to switch between a gazillion tools, essentially, is the main reason. And because when I'm building these sites for, say, clients, they don't have a technical background. So oftentimes what they want to do is just look at a spreadsheet with pretty colors. And that's essentially what Airtable is. I don't know how they've done it. Airtable has just like stayed rock solid this entire time. They haven't like really done too many like crazy things, too many crazy pivots. I mean, like they're doing a lot of AI stuff, but they're not like transforming their businesses. You know that things are good over at Airtable HQ. They're just like,
We'll use it when the time comes.
Yeah. When someone's vibe coded a new Airtable, that's when they'll be like, okay, now we might have to. Last story that I actually have to think of, but like, there's these guys, they booked a call with me on my website and they're like, hey, we've been watching your videos and we basically built like a marketplace and we're running into some like issues with this like workflow and we're wondering if we could like just jump on a call with you and you help us go over it. I jumped on the call with them and they told me about their business and they were like, they've been running it for about 4 months. they were making 150K a month using Webflow, using Airtable. I don't even know if they had some type of auth. We didn't get to that part. And 2 Zaps. And one of the Zaps had broken, which is why they jumped on the call with me. And like, when I was like, can you share your screen so I can see what's not working? They share their screen and the Zap is literally turned off. I'm like, turn it on. They turned it on and I was like, oh, okay, well, that fixes it. It's like crazy. What I remember specifically about those guys is like, what kind of inspired me about that is that those guys actually just went out and did it. Now, there's a bit of context that I think is important to know, like very deep in the enterprise space, they're charging like 20 grand a month to the businesses that they're working with. So they had like 6 or 7 customers type of thing, but basically all powered off like Webflow and Airtable and then 2 Zaps. And they just went out, hit the publish button, went and did some selling and just got things going with no technical background. And so just the fact that you're putting content out there might just like help people do that kind of stuff. So it's a big deal. You should be stoked. Plus the quality of the videos are really good.
Thank you. It's fun. I have a good time making them. I follow a process of basically, it's easier for me as a content creator and it is, in my opinion, often better for the viewers. A lot of people, they make really in-depth, like, not courses, but like lessons. They go really deep into it. They learn everything and then they teach you that stuff. That's great. I have nothing against that. But what I like to do is like learn it with people for the reason that it's hard to understand someone's long and difficult to understand explanation sometimes. Whereas if someone is literally like, here, like I made a video on Claude Skills the other day. It did way better than any other videos I made. Got like 12,000 views in a weekend, which on YouTube is insane. On TikTok, that would have been like nothing. It was literally, my friend showed me something, took about 20 seconds, and then I showed them how to do it. You know, a lot of people would be scared to make content. They're like, well, who am I to make content about it? I don't know anything about that. And I literally said at the start of the video, I don't know anything about Claude Skills. I just figured it out. My friend showed me, and now I'm showing you, and people love it. That's my strategy.
I love it, and it's the best strategy because the second you take that approach with content creation, you are positioning yourself as like someone who's like, hey, look what I just figured out. It's not like you're coming in as like the authority of being like, drop everything you're doing and this is how it's done. You're coming at it more from a perspective of, hey, this is something that I tried and worked really well for me. That makes the process, one, easier. It's more comfortable to create content, at least in my opinion. And I also just find it more relatable. Like when you're someone watching it and you know that the person who is explaining this to you is actually just trying to figure this stuff out in the exact same way as you, it becomes more relatable. And so, I mean, I've made so many videos where I'm kind of like, this works, this doesn't work. And the ones that have performed the best for me have been the videos where I've genuinely been like, oh, this is like a really great way to do something. Let me show other people how I did it. Don't worry too much about like how polished it is, the video or the actual tutorial. And those are the ones that have always done the best. There was just this one video that I did on Webflow where I was literally like, here's how you use conditional visibility. It was such a random video, but it did so incredibly well. And then there are like videos where you're like, I'm about to create a masterpiece, and it's just like, no one cares at all. But what I have found, this might be like a little bit of like a thought. Technical guides and tutorials, as valuable as they may seem, because you're telling someone the actual step-by-step process of how something is done, doesn't do as well. The way I've decided to kind of approach it with like content creation is when I do create tutorials, the more in-depth ones, is I make them way more in-depth, make the actual solution really good, but I'm essentially filming it in real time. So as I'm building like a user portal, I'm actually doing it step by step, and it ends up being like a 60, 70-minute video. But then at the end of that video, I kind of create like a summary of what I did. So it's kind of like the high level overview of the different building blocks without getting caught up in the weed, because then you can very easily condense that into like a 5-6 minute super value packed video. And then anyone who really wants to get into the weeds of it and be like, I want to rebuild this, they always reach out and they're like, can you actually do this for me? Or can you show me how to do this? And now I've basically, I'm like, yeah, I can build it for you. This is how much it will cost. Or they're like, no, I don't want to hire you, but do you have like any tutorials? And now I've got like a 60, 70 minute in-depth like guide on how to do X, Y, Z. And I'm just like, here you go. Do stuff.
Exactly.
Dude, hey, fantastic chat. I honestly think your videos are awesome. Keep them coming. It's keeping me entertained. And it's motivating me to maybe come back and make some more videos sometime. But I'd love to do a build with you. So let me know when you want to do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. This was excellent. Pretty much whenever. I mean, we'll message. I got to see what I got going on over the next little bit. But next week after, I would love to. I love making videos. I love your videos, obviously. Thank you again, because you didn't know this when you made the video, but whatever video it was that you made is literally what turned me from making marketing sites to making web apps. Now I'm here. So I cannot thank you enough for that, even though you had no intention of doing such a thing.
Man, I am glad it was useful, because it was a pain making those videos. No, it wasn't.
Thank you for your efforts.
No, I'm happy to. I mean, honestly, it's exactly the reason why I made those videos. You know,
it's crazy how much things can have an impact. Like, no, literally, I mean, I built a full career off of originally the video of yours that I watched. Like, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet.
Well, it should be even sweeter than to know that there's probably someone watching your videos right now who's going to be like, yo.
There better be someone out there